Today I find myself in my office at school and recording this video devotion from my school office. I wanted to take the time to look at a very small passage in Paul's letter to the Ephesians. It's in chapter 4, verse 32. And in that verse, Paul writes, "Be kind to one another, tender-hearted, forgiving each other." It reminds me that you and I are to be a people who care, not just for ourselves, and not just for those we like or love, but we're to care for one another. I like the word care. It indicates a sense of intentionality. You see, the truth is we don't care by accident very often. It may happen on occasion, but not very often. If you care for someone, or you care for something, you mean to care for it. You take steps to care for that person or that thing. The term care also begins to conjure up for me images that are found throughout the Bible. I think about the 23rd Psalm, David's wonderful, beautiful psalm that he writes of God's care for him. But it's also a reminder of God's care for us. David writes, "The Lord is my shepherd." You can already begin to think about the rest of the psalm. "The Lord is my shepherd." It's a reminder to me that the Lord cares for me. And then David reveals the manner in which God cares for us. And I like these words of that psalm particularly. David writes, "He makes me to lie down in green pastures, and he leads me beside the still waters." That is an image for me of God caring for me, of God being very intentional about my care, of God knowing my particular needs, and God responding to my needs with God's care. And so I wonder today, if you and I could value caring in our lives. We haven't perfected caring, nor do I think we will. We do a pretty good job much of the time. We can express care in a lot of different ways. But I wonder, do we strive to reveal to the world and to one another a sense of care because God has cared for us? And then God asks us to care for one another. My wife and I have a plant in our home. We've had it for just over a year. It's the one live plant we have in our house, and it takes a lot of work to keep it alive and to keep it looking good. We move it from window to window, making sure that it gets enough sun, but not too much. We water it, but not too much. We watch out for it, cut leaves off of it that have died. We prune it back, and sometimes we've even repotted it. It is more work sometimes than we want to do. It takes care. I think the same is true for you and for me. If we're to be the people God has called us to be, if we're to care for one another, it takes work. And we have to learn every day, and we have to work at it every day. I like to think about acts of caring. They're those acts that we perform for others, not because we have to, but because we choose to. We go sit with someone in their loneliness. We visit someone when they're ill. We may take food to a family when they're having a particularly difficult time. We may send a kind note to say, "I'm thinking of you today." We show ways of caring. I call them acts of caring. They're not often seen on the front paper. They don't make it in the church newsletter. We don't talk about them from the pulpit, but they make a difference in the life of someone else. But I think they also make a difference to you and me as we provide care to other people. I think that's what caring is like. Caring takes work, even though it's not always seen by others. From time to time, you and I will notice the acts of caring that others perform. I see it on occasion in the parking lots of grocery stores when someone will help another person put a cart away or put groceries in their cars. Sometimes we show that care by helping the cashier bag the groceries when they don't have anyone else to help them. Or maybe it's reaching an item from an upper shelf that someone can't reach. Maybe we show care by reading a book to our children or our grandchildren or to a friend. Or maybe we show care by saying to the person who has provided a service for you, I appreciate what you do for me. I wonder, do we value caring? And I wonder if we show that care the way that Jesus showed care for us. It's important in the living of our lives, I think, to find those ways to care. We don't have to look far. They're all around us if we take the time to see. Later in his letter to the Ephesians, Paul will write, "You are God's workmanship. You are the creation of God's hand, God's doing." I like that because it reminds me that you and I have potential. We may not be able to do everything, but we can care. We can care because God cares for us. Some years ago, I ran across a small book. It was a children's book, a collection of little sayings that children had written that described random acts of kindness that children had done. I read it and was tickled by some, touched by others, and found some quite inspiring. I discovered that if we watch children, if we learn from children, we might become better carers. In one of the pages in that book, Random Acts of Kindness, one boy wrote that his act of caring is, in his words, small but pretty good. Every day, I say at least one kind thing to everyone I talk to. It isn't hard for me to do, and it makes me and the people I talk to feel good. Well, that might be a great place to start. Say one kind thing to everyone you talk to. I think if you and I do that, we will notice it not only encourages that person we're talking to, but it lifts our spirit as well. We discover that we are in the presence of God when we offer that care. I appreciate you taking the time to listen to this devotional today and to reflect upon what it means for your life. I want to invite you to join us this coming Sunday as we share in ordaining and installing new deacons for Emmanuel Baptist Church. It will be a special day, and your presence there will be an encouragement to them as they begin their service this year. I look forward to being with you this Sunday and sharing with you again. I appreciate the ways that you care for me and the ways that you express that care. May God bless you this day and every day.